Hey guys, today I am here with a very long time and dear friend of mine, Deva Sereno, who is one of the most diverse, amazing, powerful women that I know. And she is an author, a healer, a coach, and a teacher. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
Sharing your wisdom with us. So we were talking about getting out of your comfort zone. And would you please explain to everybody what you refer to as getting out of your comfort zone and explain what that means to you?
So it's very important for us to remember that we're part of a culture who has instilled a lot of belief systems within our minds, and we basically have a software running in our minds, like a program. And all of these little belief systems add up and really start to steal our energy. So it's very good. There's some flies out here. It's very good for us to become aware of the thoughts that are happening inside of our minds and where our emotions are coming from and the things that are hindering us in our lives, of actually finding out the true basis of where they're coming from. And so when we get outside of our comfort zone, we do things that make us uncomfortable. It gives us an opportunity to see what the truth is for us, rather than what the social norms are.
Right, and that might seem like kind of an abstract concept right now if you've never done anything like this. Maybe you have years ago or once or twice, but this is something like actively pushing ourselves is something that we do. And that's what I want to impart on you guys today, is actively pushing yourself to get out of your comfort zone. So people do this in lots of different ways. We were talking earlier about like just getting uncomfortable in the sense of taking a really cold shower in the morning. I have a friend who jumps into his unheated swimming pool first thing in the morning. And something that I did fairly recently that had a really huge impact on me was walk around in public pretty much for an entire day in a bathing suit and heels.
I love it. I love it. I actually want to do it.
It's amazing. It was extremely liberating. And so that's what Deva is talking about, is, you know, challenging the beliefs that I had about myself. So, you know, I talk about body image, and I talk about food, and I talk about acceptance, like definitely self-acceptance, self-trust. And I love this video and this conversation because it really shows, and this is all perfect, by the way, because I don't have my background, and I don't have my makeup on, I don't have my hair done like I typically do, and we were just talking about how this is so synergistic, this conversation.
Of course.
We're in nature, and that is the point. You are part of nature. I am part of nature. We are perfectly imperfect, as a good friend of mine, Samantha Skelly, likes to say. And so that was a thing that I did. And let me tell you, like, once you physically do something and let people see you and push yourself past that point, it's like there's no turning back. It's like you've experienced that, and now I want more. How could I do more of that?
Totally.
So, Dave, I know that you had an experience like that too.
Yeah. So recently for me, there's a book that I've been reading, which is Infinite Self. He talks a lot about de-egoing, so it's a book I would highly recommend. And one of the things he talks about is doing cold showers, you know, waking up earlier, doing things that really make your body feel kind of uncomfortable, because we have to realize that the ego is always going to be seeking comfort. So the ego actually becomes our saboteur. So one of the things that I've been doing recently is walking around with no shoes on. So the other day I left the house, you know, I didn't have any shoes on. Well, I had them in the car with me, but I drove with no shoes. I went and picked up lunch. I'm walking around, everyone's in their business suits, and you know, here I am, this like hippie, and it was great, because if we can get past what other people think of us, we liberate so much fear. And we have the opportunity to actually bring our power back into our bodies so that it can be used to create what we're wanting in our lives.
So tell me about that experience a little bit for you. Like, how did you, when you were going through the process of stepping outside barefoot for that long a period of time, how were you feeling?
I felt amazing. Yeah, I mean, for me, it just feels so natural to actually have your feet on the earth and be connected to the earth. There's a Schumann resonance, so our body actually harmonizes when we put our feet on dirt. But then even walking around on the pavement and, you know, being around with all these other people who are dressed up and kind of looking all fancy and professional, it was so liberating. And I felt like my true self, because it doesn't matter if you have shoes on. You know, this goes into all different aspects of ourselves, of who we think we are as a woman or as a man. There's a lot of belief systems that are running programs in our minds. So we can easily break those down by just doing some things that get us outside of our comfort zone and trying different things.
Yeah. And I feel like this is a good place to mention this. Actually, wish we had talked about it earlier on the video. Deva is a serial entrepreneur. On top of all the things that I mentioned, she has owned and built 8 businesses, one of which was just an incredible design firm with employees. And can you talk about that a little bit? And because I want you guys to understand, this isn't coming from somebody who lives like la-di-da, nothing, money doesn't matter, you know, and I can live off of rice and vegetables, and you know what I mean? Like, you love people, you love society, like your whole life is about giving back based on what you've experienced. So I just want everybody to get a little taste of what your experience has been.
Sure. So it's actually a great conversation, because when I first started my company, I was 26. And I wanted to just wear whatever I wanted, and I wanted to be completely free. And I realized as time went on, as I really started to, you know, go after bigger clients and more corporate industry, you know, I started to wear more suit tops, and I started to dress more professional and wear heels more often. And I never really wanted to. I actually felt like I was selling my soul a little bit.
And when I met you, that's who you were.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And, you know, I just accepted it. I realized that if I'm going to make this kind of money and do this kind of lifestyle, this is who I need to be. At least this was the belief system that I had. And then after 7 years of running the agency, something just hit me. And I realized that this wasn't who I was, and it wasn't who I wanted to be. So I shut the company down. I picked up a backpack, and I traveled the world for half a year through Europe and Southeast Asia. And, you know, I had 2 pairs of shorts, and I lived with hardly anything. And it really tested me. I didn't wear makeup for, you know, 6 months. And it got me to see a new side of myself, and got me to realize that a lot of who I think I am is actually who my culture programmed me to be. So since I've been back in the States, and since I've reintegrated all those lessons, it's just been really amazing to feel, you know, more balanced and in harmony with who I truly am. And now I actually make more money than I did before, and I, you know, wear sundresses every day, or, you know, whatever I want. So it just feels great to be comfortable in my own skin. And even if I have a corporate meeting, I'm still going to show up in whatever I want to wear, and that's just who I am now. So everything's totally changed.
I love it. That's amazing. So I think the point of all of this, you guys, is don't just do something to get out of your comfort zone just for the sake of doing it. Do something that calls to you. One of the things that I ask my clients to do as a stretch is do something fun for at least 2 hours every weekend for a certain period of time, because what that does is it consistently stretches your mind into what are the things that I used to be interested in, or that I loved or have always wanted to do, that I put to the side because I decided I didn't have enough time for it anymore, or it wasn't important anymore. It was selfish to do. Because these are the things that our intuition calls us towards, and also the things that our society, you know, and our programming and our looking good conversation, because our society tells us what looks good, and then we decide we want to look good to our friends and our family and our colleagues. So putting those things off is really, you know, like we keep saying, it's an ego conversation. So I suggest that you write down a list of the top 5 things that just interest you in going to do that you've never done before. And I do challenge you to go and do those things alone, because that's an even bigger stretch. I think that for a lot of you out there, being alone is actually, you're like, what do I do? What do I do alone? So challenge yourself. Go see what you would do alone. A friend of mine just drove to the Grand Canyon alone. He did an 8-hour drive and hung out at the Grand Canyon solo. I mean, that's quite an experience. And then it's never the same when you go with someone else. So let it be yours. Let yourself own this. And it could be as small as not wearing shoes and going outside, or as big as wearing a bathing suit in public. You know, whatever is calling to you. For me, also one of my stretches a while back was to go to this photo exhibit at the Museum of Photographic Art. And I just did it alone because it's something that I typically wouldn't make time for myself to do. And I had to tell my friends and family, sorry, I'm busy on like a whole Saturday afternoon because I wanted to be there for as long as I wanted to be there. And if I was going to be there for 1 hour, I'll call them later and say, okay, I'm free now. And if not, you know, I could be there for 5 hours. So just give yourself that time and that compassion and that love and reconnect with your intuition, what your soul is asking you to do. You believe in that? Yeah.
Tap in.
Tap in. And, you know, I've said over and over and over again, emotional eating, binge eating, addictive eating, these are all coping mechanisms. And when we give ourselves what we want, when you give yourself what your body needs and wants, and what you yourself, I mean your body, mind, and soul, when you give yourself what you want, it's magic, right?
And you liberate energy.
Yeah. Sorry,
No?
there are flies out here. Thank you for watching.
Namaste.
Namaste. We'll see you soon. And I'll tell you where we can find Deva. Is there
DevaAngelina.com if you want to look into our workshops or coaching for business.
It's great. I highly recommend it. It's some really powerful stuff. So thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Bye.